A lot of people like Laura Pausini. And this is why it matters, I guess. Hello, ladies and Gen X. Here's your boy talking about pop singers and how it relates to bodybuilding. I highly suggest you to watch my previous video so you can understand how this one is connected to the other one. But if you do not want to do it, here's a little recap. I've been talking about the latest bodybuilding fluffs, aka controversies, that happened, ranging from the whole man's physique being called bogus by Arnold himself, straight to Nick Walker and Bob Cicherillo, and the fact that it's not the first time that Bob pulls out a bob out of his hat, because he already done it with Big Ramy and other competitors in the past. Whenever I'm on a highway, and there's also my father in the car, I tend to think out loud, and if I see a car that I really think it's awful, I say it out loud. Last time, there was an Audi A1, and I really don't understand why somebody would buy that car, so I said out loud, oh boy, that car sucks. And I just said, well, a lot of people like Laura Pausini. And usually when he pulls out this phrase, he means that some people are into it, even if you're not. And so the best thing that you can do to solve these issues is to actually understand why people like something. This is what I've done over and over again, because as I've said in my previous video, I was a detractor of the men's physique division. I didn't even understand open division to a certain extent. I just didn't, for a whole host of reasons, because in the 2010s and early 2000s, there was a lack of aesthetics that was actually changed or swapped for more mass and just being freakish all over. And I didn't really understood that because, most people just want to be aesthetic and looking good at the beach, I guess, or having a golden era physique, which is kind of what I'm into. But the more I look through it and the more friends and others send me posts and so on, I started admitting why these people actually like those things in the first place and why they just enjoy seeing certain athletes. As I said in my previous video, I do not really believe that there's somebody that can bring the same amount of density and mass all over his body like Nick Walker. You might not like the fact that he has a larger abdominal section, but that is due to his genetics, because he was like that even when he was competing as a natural and when he was a teenager. With the abdomen section out of the equation, the only reason why certain people bash certain athletes is not because of constructive criticism, which is what is masked with, is because they simply just don't like the thing. But what they should understand, and this is just my take, is that when you have such power and spectators, your opinion actually makes a true impact and can define the industry and actually sometimes make it crumble. Because if you disenchant people to compete in certain divisions or to even show up, guess what? There are not going to be a lot of people and a lot of athletes and a lot of consumers into bodybuilding. And so this is a real problem. So instead of bashing what other people like, I think you could just understand why they like it. Again, not share or not like the same thing, and bring real constructive criticism and solutions to the table. Because guess what? If you have a problem with your abdominal section, or if you really struggle with building legs, and I found this also by helping others and even doing coaching, you're not really helping them with saying, oh, you just suck, you should get over it and do more of this. It doesn't help. It really doesn't. And I say this as somebody that has never struggled with building his legs and just had good genetics to squat well. So this is kind of the thing. You don't have to understand why I listen to Balkan pop singers, but it turns out that a lot of people like to listen to Aspirin from Seka Aleksic, even when they are driving a taxi in Belgrade. Or some people like, I don't know, Selena, or if they are into threesomes and doing adultery in their marriage, they probably listen to Severina and they are driving to Split, trying to avoid people stabbing them off. Again, these are just jokes. Do not get upset about it. And don't get me even started with making jokes about Albanians, because this can turn into an ethnic conflict pretty quick. But you get the memo. Some people really like Laura Pausini, and as much as you cannot withstand it, she can fill all arenas. And a lot of people even bought her compilations back in the early 2000s and even later. And some people will still like it through the end of times. That's just it. And again, same thing. Some people will never like modern bodybuilding. They will never catch on with it. They would always say the worst things possible and tear the whole sport down. Now things are not as much about conditioning as they used to be. And I see a lot of lamentation also about that. But when you have an athlete that is pretty big, he cannot get as shredded as others. I mean, just look at Victor Richards. The main problem he had battling Dorian Yates or others was conditioning. That was because he was just too big. If Victor Richards competed these days, he would actually be praised all over. So again, even saying things like, oh, athletes do not diet like back in the day. No, it's just different. You might not like it, but it's what a lot of people and a lot of young kids like. And turns out they actually spend a lot of money to be like their idol. So I don't really see what's wrong, because again, I understood the mental, psychological point that I came from, even when I dislike certain cars. I can go for hours about why an Audi A1 makes no sense, but again, a lot of other people will like it and will buy one, even if for me doesn't make any sense. But what's better if in that case you're trying to grow that brand or you're trying to grow that thing, is to say, well, even with all the drawbacks, this stuff is actually doing good. And I can make many other cases. You can even say that about Sam Sulek. You can say that the guy paired with others like Toji is just increasing drug between teenagers and guys in their 20s attempting to be even amateur bodybuilders or fitness influencers. But on the contrast, he basically got a lot more people into the fitness community, into the gym in general, and he just made a whole host of other people better. Again, you don't have to like it, you just have to understand it. And when you do, you can actually be not just the good, but you can be actually effective when you have to criticize things, because people can actually see and understand that your criticism doesn't stem from resentment. As I've said in the past video, most of this criticism, constructive criticism, actually comes from resentment of people that want the industry to be like what it was in the 90s. But a lot of time has passed, and you can long for the past as much as you want. I have plenty of people in my personal circles that do that, but the past is not here anymore. Yes, memories are cool, things are nice, but you cannot really replicate the golden era because it's just not there. Sure, you can try the looks, you can put some nice filters. I'm all into film emulation and analog emulation, but you should actually try to merge the old with the new instead of just trying to pose yourself into replicating the old because the old was always better. Because also sometimes, even though you believe that, it's not. So yeah, a lot of people like Laura Pausini. I guess this is the end for the video. Not gonna even ask you to comment below or like this one because these are just my thoughts. Wanted to put them out there. Thanks so much for watching. Hope it bothered your day a bit and see you soon.